May I have your attention, please? Now the judges will enter this hall. Please stand up and welcome them with a big round of applause. Please be seated. Now I'd like to start the half of today's contest. The sixth speaker is Mr. Victor Kishi from Tokyo University. He will deliver his speech under the title of Coexisting with Drama. Coexisting with Drama. Mr. Kishi, please.
Thank you, the Masters of Ceremonies, distinguished judges, and all the organizers. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Close your eyes. Imagine the darkness of the night. There was a boy. Every night, he was filled with anxiety. Every night, he was unable to sleep. Every night, he thought no one would love him. The boy was me. When I was in elementary school, my life was unbearable. I didn't have any hope for the future. This painful, long-lasting, distressing memory is what I call my trauma. Failure, bullying, earthquakes, any event can trigger trauma. In Japan, a survey found that about 6 out of 10 people have experienced a traumatic event. Some people might not have any trauma. However, you may potentially encounter a painful situation in the future. So today, I'd like to share how to face our trauma. I hope my speech eases the pain, even just a little. My trauma started when I was in first grade. My soccer teammates often say, "You are a terrible soccer. Why do you play it?" But the most traumatic experience was with my coach. During one match, he shouted my name and told me, "It doesn't matter whether you are here or not." Later he said, "Just stand there." And all of my teammates to kick the ball at me. The ball had my body and mind. For 6 years, I cried in bed every night, scared of the morning. That's because I had to endure my pain. But my parents insisted that I continue playing soccer. In the end, I hurt myself. I had my body just escape from a painful situation. My trauma has affected my entire life. Even when I made new friends, my trauma whispered to me, "Don't trust anyone. You're worthless." My trauma isolated me more, and my depression became deeper. But why do we suffer from trauma? It's because we try to avoid facing it entirely. I was also scared to face my trauma and tried to ignore it. But the pain didn't go away. If we don't gradually face a trauma, it stays with us and shows up as flashbacks. Research shows people who avoid facing the trauma often have worse PTSD symptoms. Trauma is different for each person. Some people might carry deep wounds from serious crimes like sexual violence. To face any trauma, please rely on the counselor, an anonymous online support service, or someone you trust. By sharing our pain, we remind ourselves that we are not isolated in our sufferings. But I believe by seeing our trauma as a part of our story, we can start to live with it in a new way. In junior high school, I found out how. One of my classmates was bullied. Because of my trauma, I could understand his despair, so I listened to him. One day, he smiled and said, "Thank you." That moment made me realize maybe my trauma has shaped my kindness. From this experience, I want to share a concept: coexisting with trauma. Coexisting means living peacefully with trauma without letting it control you. For those who are ready to take small steps forward, I introduce what helped me. It is okay to do this process at your pace. First, write. Please write down your fears, pain, and sadness. I wrote down hateful words from my soccer teammates like, "Why do you play it?" At first, it felt tough to face my trauma, but expressing my feelings helped me understand them more clearly. Research from the national level medicine shows writing about trauma can boost resilience and reduce depression. You don't need to accept all of your trauma through these steps. Second, use. Please look at paper and think, what has this pain taught me, and how can I use this pain to help others? It might be empathy with others, or strength to carry on. This is known as post-traumatic growth, or PTG. PTG means the new strengths or positive changes we gain from trauma. A 2019 study in the Journal of Affective Disorders found out about half of people experience PTG after trauma. By using a trauma, we can coexist with it in a meaningful way. Now, I am the chief of the USSP section. From my trauma, I listen to every member's voice and praise their efforts. I don't want anyone to experience the loneliness and sadness that I felt from my soccer teammates and coach. Last year, a junior told me, "You're so kind. Your readers in caring for everyone." My trauma has broken my life many times, but now I coexist with it as a part of myself. Open your eyes. Here, I stand in the spotlight of the World Cup. I choose to coexist with trauma. Trauma may be dark, but there is always light that illuminates our lives. The key is to write and use. Coexist with trauma and start walking again, so that one day you can smile at the future. Thank you for listening.
Now we have a question and answer period. Mr. Kubota, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. So, as you mentioned in your speech, trauma shaped your today's kindness, right? So you're such a kind man. Talking about trauma, I'm not quite sure what is my trauma. I can't hit on something like that. So, in that case, what should I do with?
Okay, thank you for asking. It's a difficult question, but first, I think that by writing your pain, like if you feel pain, or like if you avoid certain activities, I think please analyze it. Like ask a lot of questions. why did I feel this pain? So I think by like realizing your pain and asking a lot of questions, I think you can realize your trauma.
Okay. Well, I was just remembering in my past and about the speech contest. I have quite a bit of memory. When I was a sophomore, and when I attended a speech contest, I forgot my script at the really the beginning of my speech, and I just stood 8 minutes on the stage without saying a word, and that, of course, the result was terrible now. But that is my kind of like a very huge, terrible memory. And after that, I decided not to forget any words. And after that, my memorization in the contest was always perfect. But yeah, so I learned from that, I think. But I think it's not a trauma. It is a terrible memory, but it's not a trauma because if I felt it as a trauma, maybe I would not be able to stand on stage again. Maybe I would just choose to quit. So what is the difference between a terrible memory and a trauma?
Okay, this is also a difficult question. Let me see. I think that it depends on the person. Like, if we think this memory is trauma, I think that it can be trauma. But it's a difficult thing.
They have like something like PTSD, right? It's like a disorder, judged by the doctor, right?
Yeah.
So there might be some kind of definition. So I want to know the definition. It's not, you say that it depends on person to person, but I think it must be some kind of like defined.
Okay, thank you for asking. So, according to the Ministry of Welfare and Well-being, the definition of trauma is kind of related to death. Like, my experience is not, you might think my experience is not related to death, but I thought that at that time I want to die as soon as possible because my situation is very harsh. So the definition is related to death or not.
Well, yeah, I understand it because bullying sometimes kills. No? I mean, sometimes leads to suicide, right? So I do understand it is somehow related to death, but and in your suggestion, yeah, you suggest about the 2 steps right use, but yeah, you said that it's really a serious matter, not only about your bullying, but as mentioned in the earthquakes or maybe some kind of being assaulted by someone else, something like that, which we never want to remember, which we never want to encounter, which we never want to remind. So, but you are asking them to write down, you're asking them to face the trauma, their terrible memories, which they want to hide, they want to forget, but you are asking to face it, right?
Yeah,
How could they have their courage? And also, don't you think that it's going to cause another demerit by forcing them to face that trauma?
Okay, thank you for asking. So your question is how to make a courage to face our trauma and the demerits of...
Yes, the demerit of your suggestion.
Demerits?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for asking. So the most common benefits is, as you can understand, is causing flashbacks, and it's too painful. However, I believe that we should have courage. I think that by remembering the trauma, we can organize our trauma, and also we can distinguish the past experiences and the present situation. So I think that the flashbacks might be happen, but it's important to heal from trauma. Yeah.
And what about the demerits?
Demerits? Yeah, as I said, causing flashbacks.
So causing flashbacks, but you suggest to have the courage to face it.
Yeah, because like as I said, flashbacks might be happen. However, it might be painful. However, we can organize our trauma and we can find daily step by steps. So I recommend you to write and use.
Well, okay, so time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. The seventh speaker is Miss Natsuki Toshima from Waseda University. She will deliver her speech under the title of Life is Dementia. Life is Dementia. Miss Toshima, please.
Thank you, the Master of Ceremonies, distinguished judges. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm living with my grandma. She was diagnosed with dementia about 7 years ago. Before that, she never forgot things. Whenever I asked her something, she could always understand, like many other people. You may think, this is a very ordinary thing. However, at some point, she began to forget things more and more often. Today, I'm here to tell you how to get along with dementia. In an article from the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, 15% of the elderly have dementia in 2012. This number is expected to increase to 20% in 2025 because of aging population with about 7 million people with memory loss. This means 1 out of every 5 elderly people has that condition, and the number is increasing. So, your family or people around you may develop this. You may also develop this. Please listen while you're imagining what it would be like if someone around you or yourself had dementia. I moved to my grandma's house last year. I was very excited at first, but I soon got to know it was very hard. When I talked to her, I had to repeat the same phrase again and again, but it was never understood. She would ask the same question just minutes after I answered it. Every day, I felt stressed. One day I lost my temper and yelled at her because she forgot that I said I didn't eat dinner. Did you think, why did you get angry with such a small thing? I think so too, but at the time I just didn't have emotional space to think. Grandma has dementia, so it's not her fault. Because I couldn't accept it. Even though I knew she had dementia, I still refused to accept it and continued expecting her to remember things. That gap between expectation and reality increased my stress and also my grandma's because she became afraid to talk to me. One night, I found she was crying in the kitchen, lonely. At the moment, I realized I had done something wrong, very wrong. According to the Japanese Association of Internal Medicine Lifelong Education lecture in 2022, it is sometimes complicated for caregivers to communicate with people with dementia. Consequently, they tend to care for the patient forcibly. Then that action causes the onset of behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia or BPSD, such as anxiety, abnormal behavior, and hallucinations. When I saw this article, I realized my behavior toward my grandma was the potential cause of her worsening symptoms. The more I refused to accept her disease and blamed her, the more she felt stressed. I regretted it so much and apologized to her. But I thought the same situation could happen in other families as well. When my mom and I were talking about my grandma, she mentioned an attitude. Humanity. It's a caregiving technique for dementia patients developed by hygienist, expert in physical education from France. Humanity is enlightened for caregivers, and it has 4 methods: seeing, talking, touching, and verticality. Then I added the new one, smiling, something I found truly powerful through my life with my grandma. First, seeing and talking. When we talk to patients, we should get close to 20 centimeters and stare into their eyes. Then they can understand easily. One day I tried it with my grandma and she asked fewer questions that day. She said it would be difficult to perceive the word directly if you talk to from afar. There are lots of things that disturb her concentration. If people get within 20 centimeters close and see something, she can focus and understand what is being said easily. Next, touching and verticality. When we communicate with patients, try to connect through touch. We'll feel an emotional connection. I sometimes massage her shoulder or take a bath with her. Then I can feel she's relaxed. Verticality means encouraging them to stand up for more than 20 minutes per day. It can help them to maintain a sense of dignity. Lastly, smiling. If you laugh together, you can feel closer and connected. It can also help patients to feel accepted and secure. Sometimes at home, I laugh out loud with my grandma. There's no misunderstandings. Everything feels light and peaceful. Previously, grandma seemed like she was lost in her own world, and I always talked to her from afar with an angry face and voice. She couldn't understand, and I was irritated by that situation. Looking back, I just refused to accept her disease. But from the day I learned about humanity, I began trying to accept her illness and find ways to live in harmony with it by the 4 methods plus smiling. Now she doesn't seem spaced out, and I also feel less stressed by trying to accept and embrace her condition. When you hear the word dementia, what comes to your mind? Today's society just tried to resist dementia. But the most important thing is trying to accept dementia and live with it. Not only thinking about memory loss, but also think of how we can interact with and support them is more important. Let's not only fight against dementia, but learn to live with it. Remember the 4 methods of humanity: seeing, talking, touching, virtuality, plus smiling. Even in forgetfulness, love and support can fill life with dementia with meaning and light. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sati-san. So I understood about the concept of humanity, but I was just wondering, no matter how hard we try to smile and try to be happy with the elderly who have dementia, can we really always be like that? Because sometimes there will be some cases which we feel kind of like annoyed, right? And in that case, maybe we just feel like angry or like sadness. Maybe we could just show that feeling, right? So how should we deal with that kind of feeling, the anger or sadness or things like that?
Thank you for asking. And I think we should deal with such things by ourselves. And for example, I sometimes ask for some advice to my mom or to my friends, and such anger will happen not only to dementia patients, but also to for example your parents or your family or your friends. So I think we should think how we deal with it by ourselves.
Okay, my next question. How many people are in your house? You and your grandma?
Only 2.
Only 2. So you live only with your grandma, right? Okay, well, isn't that really tough to spend time and taking care of her?
At first it was very, very hard, and but my mom actually worked at hospital last year, and she took the training about dementia, and she was taught this humanity at that training, and she teach me, and after I know about humanity, I think it's better.
Okay. Well, I think your speech was quite focused on family support. Yeah. And so in your case, support from you as a grandchildren, right? But I think that there might be some kind of like a case which the family couldn't support. For example, like if they were living in a distant place, or if maybe they could have just couldn't have take enough time, like right? If your mom and dad have a job, right? So isn't it much better to ask for a nursing home to take care of your grandmother and just pay money to the nursing facilities?
At first, I wanted to hire some workers to care her, but the number of dementia patients is very, very increasing now. So it will be difficult to all patients are helped by such as workers.
Okay, and maybe my last question. Well, I honestly thought that your grandma's just very lucky because you were a supporter, you're young, you have enough power to do that. Maybe you could have more time compared with the adults who are working because you're a student. I know that students is also busy, but I think they're lucky, and she's lucky, because as you said, there are people, the population of the elderly is increasing, and also the people who have dementia would increase. And for example, like there is already a word like in Japanese, roro kaibo, the elderly should support each other. So it's going to be I think it's going to be more a serious social problem in the future as the population is going to change. So how would you deal with this?
Today I only focus on the easiest way to communicate with patient, and so this humanitude is done by, for example, by some elder people or by small kids. So I think, and also in my mother training, there are lots of elder people. So I think it is very easy to do humanitude to dementia patients.
Okay, so your main theme was about the humanitude. Okay, so I understood that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
His speaker is Mr. Yusef Ji from Hosei University. He will deliver his speech under the title of Pretty Good Speech. Pretty Good Speech. Mr. Fuji, please.
Thank you, Master Assembly, distinguished judges, all organizers, and all audience. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. to become manga artist. Actually, I wanted to draw cool action manga like Dragon Ball. To reach that dream, I practiced every day. My small hands were always drawing, in notebooks, on the back of flyers, and in the margin of textbooks. I became a manga artist, no matter what. I promised myself and burned with passion. Finally, I began my first work. I won a prize in the competition. With shining eyes and steady hands, I got to work. But what appeared on the page was far from my imagination. It was failure. I couldn't show my manga to anyone because it wasn't perfect. That single failure convinced me I have no talent. So I stopped drawing forever. The biggest setback of my life was brought on by a small burden of my personality, perfectionism. I know the story that I told first was that thing, but don't worry. Today, I'd like to share how I escaped from perfectionism. Yes, this is the whole story. Firstly, what is perfectionism? Perfectionism is personality that will impose excessively high standards on yourself or others. To put it simply, perfectionism is like that. Inner voice telling you, not good enough, even when it's already good enough. I don't have perfectionism, so this speech isn't for me. If you thought that, hold on. You might be falling into perfectionism unconsciously. For example, have you ever thought, it looks too hard, so I just cut some corners? It sounds practical, but actually, this is the sign of perfectionism. In fact, a study by the Social Research Lab at the University of Northern Colorado and the Planning Group found that 92% of people feel perfectionists affect their work. A lot of people suffer from perfectionism. What makes perfectionism so serious when things don't turn out perfectly? It leaves deep scar on their heart. For perfectionists, even 80 out of 100 is not enough. But in reality, things rarely go perfectly. That means perfectionists end up feeling like they've failed in every challenge they take on. And over time, without realizing that, they start to think, if it's not going to be perfect, why even try? They avoid trying. One time, I was creating a PowerPoint presentation for a class. Just like when I gave up on my dream, I was unconsciously seeking perfection in my work. Fonts, color, and content, I was obsessed with every detail. Therefore, I couldn't finish the work. If it's not perfect, I can present it in class. I cried to my mother for help. In the kindness, my mother gave me advice that changed my values. Calm down. These slides are already pretty good. You are chasing the perfect thing and can't see your strength. Even if these are good slides, if you can finish it, it has no value, right? So let's focus on completing. Completionism. This is the hope that I found to break free from perfectionism. It is opposite way of thinking compared to perfectionism, and it emphasizes finishing the task over making it perfect. It's easy to step into completionism by using the method I invited. Let's use 3x3 method. Move in 3 seconds, finish 3 days early, and improve 3 times. That's the root of 3x3 method. I'll explain one by one. Move in 3 seconds. You can take action without thinking whether it's perfect or not. Taking action is a huge first step in completionism, because nothing will be completed without starting. It is said that people start coming up with excuses after 5 seconds. That's why moving 3 seconds is important. When you hesitate, just move within 3 seconds before excuses appear. Finish 3 days early. The most important thing in completionism is to finish the task, no matter what. Great work isn't born perfectly. It's shaped after it's done. So that's why. So try to finish your task 3 days before the deadline. It doesn't have to be perfect at that point. Improve 3 times. Use the extra 3 days to make 3 times improvements. By finishing your task 3 days before the deadline, you can feel comfortable and get a lot of opportunities to improve. That way, you'll end up with something much higher quality than your first draft, right? Let me share a mindset when you try the 3 method. It is aim for pretty good. You don't need to aim for perfect score because it's too hard. So aim for 80. Then look at the remaining 20 and figure out what to improve. And gradually raise your score. Thinking this way makes you emotionally more stable and less anxious. Work, school, part-time jobs. Are you chasing perfection in all of them? While you're held back by the fear of not being perfect. Like me, moving forward, task by task. If you want to change, remember this. 3 by 3 method and pretty good. Finally, the speech, maybe the speech isn't perfect. But if it touches your head, even just a little bit, it was already pretty good speech. Thank you very much.
We have a question and answer period. Mr. Kubota, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Yusei-san, for your pretty good speech. So, my first question. So, you suggested the 3 by 3 methods, and you said that you invented by yourself. Do you have any kind of like supporting materials, like scientific research, to support your method?
Okay. I don't have it's my original method, so I don't have any critical research for this, but actually, I only know the people. I forget about the name of research, but it is said that people start coming up with excuses after 5 seconds. It is based in research, and yeah. Sorry, I didn't have any other research. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Yeah, and also I was just wondering, why did you just focus on these 3 things? Because there might be another 4th one, or you said it's 5 seconds, so maybe you could just make a catchy phrase like 5 by 5 method by finding out some other 2 methods, right? So I was just wondering, why did you just focus on 3? And why can you say that these 3 and also the 3 by 3 would be the best suggestion?
Okay. Because I think this number is best for actually this number is also good for every method, moving 3 seconds, finish 3 delivery, and improve 3 times. Because it doesn't have to be less number, because it doesn't have effects. And if it biggest number, it is also we can taking action because it's mind program. So I choose the number 3.
Okay. My next question. Could you tell us how you got transformed by inventing this 3x3 method? Because you share about the manga dream and also the PowerPoint class, but these were all both about the perfectionism. You were trapped in a perfectionist, right? So I want to know the other episode on how you got transformed and made kind of a successful change in that.
Okay, thank you. My mind changed. I have episode about my homework of university. Before I invited this method, I'm really obsessed with detail, and I can't finish before the deadline. I'm really I finish my task near deadline, but after I invited this method, I can move stress-free and finish before the deadline and improve. Then, as a result, compared to the before the level of homework, actually the level of homework was improved. So it was really it has really affected for me.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So the time's gone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now it's the judging time. The ninth speaker is Miss Nela Muranaga from the University of Tokyo. She will deliver her speech under the title of The Samurai Accent. The Samurai Accent. Miss Muranaga, please.
Sure.
everyone. You should fix your accent. You should sound like a native speaker. This is a message that I got from the audience when I delivered my speech this year. When I read the message, I felt deep sadness. The accent that I speak with now is called the Sunlight accent, which refers to the unique Japanese accent when speaking English. For example, we attach an extra vowel sound at the end of the word, so the word cat becomes catto. Many Japanese people see the Sunlight accent negatively. They believe that only those who sound like native speakers are fluent. But today, I am here to change this idea. The speech is for those who hesitate to speak English because of the Sunlight accent. I hope that the speech will make you feel confident in your accent and guide you into the world of diverse English. First, let me tell you a short story. When I was in high school, I joined English debate club. I was determined to sound like a native speaker and try to speak fast. However, one day, my teacher said, "Rena, I couldn't understand what you said. It sounded like you said, an onion ran at high speed." An onion ran at high speed? No way. I was talking about space exploration, not an onion. Since then, I became self-conscious about my accent and hesitated to speak. Now, many Japanese people have a similar fear. We often think that we cannot speak English because our accent isn't like that of a native speaker. This belief holds many of us back from using English in everyday situations, even though we've spent many years learning English. A TOEIC survey shows that 64% of Japanese avoid speaking English because they felt insecure about their accent. 89% said they cannot talk to foreigners unless they sound like native speakers. This shows how much we fear making mistakes. But I want to ask you, do we really need perfect English to communicate effectively? Isn't the true goal of language to connect with others and share our ideas? To answer this question, I want to share my experience. Soon after my debate teacher said that he couldn't understand what I said, I had an opportunity to join an international debate competition. I was incredibly nervous and thought no one would understand what I was saying. However, once the match started, I was very surprised to see speakers from other countries confidently using English, even with strong accents. For example, the Spanish had a strong R sound like ra, but they pronounced every word carefully and used body language to convey their message. The Koreans made clear and confident speeches, even though their native language differed greatly from English. Encouraged by them, I started focusing on what I said, not on how I sounded. And to my surprise, people accepted my accent. Many judges said, "Hey, your idea was persuasive. Thank you for a speech." From then, I realized that the Samurai accent is just one type of accent. We don't have to sound like native speakers. What truly matters is the confidence in our accent. You may be wondering, it's not easy to gain confidence. Yes, that is true. So today, I'd like to offer 3 simple tips to help you speak English more confidently. That is, simple English, speak slowly, and start by speaking to yourself. The first one is simple English. Use clear, simple vocabulary and grammar. For example, instead of saying, "I am deeply elated to be here," say, "I am very happy to be here." Instead of saying, "My failure has resulted in a psychological scar," say, "My failure has traumatized me." can easily understand your message. The second one is speak slowly. If you speak too quickly, it becomes harder for others to understand. By slowing down, you can give your audience the time to process what you're saying and understand your message. A survey shows that over 70% of foreigners think that the Samurai accent is easy to understand. Be confident in your accent and try to speak slowly. The last one is start by speaking to yourself. It may be hard to speak English with foreigners at first. You may feel scared. So you can start with a small action. Try speaking English with ChatGPT or speak to yourself in the bus. Little by little, you can get used to forming sentences and be proud of your accent. Simple English, speak slowly, and start by speaking to yourself. These methods will make your English easy to understand and make you more confident in your accent. Today, 93% of Japanese workers are not confident in their English, and 80% of companies feel serious labor shortage of global human resources. If the Japanese economy declines, more and more companies will expand into overseas markets or hire foreign workers. In other words, the opportunities to use English are increasing. Tomorrow, you may be required to speak English. But don't worry, speaking English is not so difficult. Just remember the 3 keywords. Simple English, speak slowly, and start by speaking to yourself. These methods will make you aware that you can speak English. Today, the word samurai is respected around the world, and I believe that our samurai accent is something to be proud of. So the next time you hesitate to speak English because of your accent, remember this. Your ideas matter, and your accent, your samurai accent is something to be proud of. English is not just for native speakers. It's a global language, and your version of it deserves to be heard. So, speak with joy, speak with confidence, and speak with your voice. Thank you.
Now we have a question and answer period. Mr. Kumota, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Yama-san.
Thank you very much.
My first question, in this judging sheet, there is a criteria, a pronunciation, 5 points. How should I judge this?
Oh, I think if you understand what I want to say, I like the pronunciation. In my opinion, I think how clear I am to deliver my speech. So if you understand my message, I think I can get high score. Well, if you cannot understand what I said, I think I will get low score.
Okay. My next question. So you said that we could value the samurai accent because it is our uniqueness, and also you suggested 3 things: simple English, speak slowly, and start by speaking yourself, right? But I'm just wondering, in your speech, you talk like as if you're like a native speaker, right? Why did you do that? Because if you're talking about the samurai accent, maybe you could say like, I would just follow your 3 suggestions, and I would talk as if I'm not a kind of like pretending something like this, just really make it Japanese. Like you should fix your accent, you should sound like a native speaker, things like that. But you didn't say like that. You should fix your accent. You should sound like a native speaker. This is how it's said in your speech. Why did you do that?
Okay, so last contest, I was told by judges or by audience that my pronunciation was like Japanese samurai accent, so you have to fix it. So in my opinion, I speak English with samurai accent, or maybe I practice every day. I practice speaking English every day, so my pronunciation is a bit native. Is a little bit transformed to native speakers. But in my opinion, I think my samurai accent is not failed out. It's not, but it still remains right. So I'm talking about that.
Okay, my next question. So, the samurai accent is about Japanese people's English accent. So you you spent 8 minutes talking about this. But how does this speech matter to Mr. Miller?
Okay. Well, I'd like to say that in some people or some native people believe that we should sound like native speakers. All the speakers should sound like native speakers because it's effective to convey our message. However, I believe that English can be diverse, and I like those native speakers to have tolerant attitudes toward those accents and those speakers who have strong accents, because English is a global language. So I like to say we should be tolerant.
Okay, maybe my last question. As you say in your speech, 93% of Japanese workers are not confident in their English, and this is all the way about maybe workers without the entire Japanese thing. Japanese, when they're asked, do you speak English, they say no, right?
Sorry.
Many Japanese are not confident in speaking English. When they're asked, do you speak English, they would say no, right? And also, it's because, and also in your speech, you said that 93% of Japanese workers are not confident in their English. That shows, right?
Yes.
And also, 80% of companies experience a serious labor shortage of low human resources. So they are wanting to have people who could speak English. But let's think about like job hunting. Maybe I don't know whether you already started that, but anyway. So usually in the job hunting, the companies value TOEIC, right?
Yes.
990 score maximum, and usually it is going to be listening and reading test. Of course, TOEIC has the writing and speaking test, but it's kind of like a minor thing compared to the L and R, right? Listening and reading. So, they don't have the judging criteria of their speaking ability. But many companies value the TOEIC L and R test to evaluate the applicant's English ability. But on the contrary, ACAN, for example, Mr. Miller was, as we introduced that, they've been serving you as an examiner, and there is a test of the listening and reading test. And also, the second part, you have to interview with the examiner, right? So, you're going to be judged about your speaking skill, right?
Yes.
So, why didn't you think that the companies should value ACAM more than TOEIC? So I'm afraid to say that in the sponsor there is a TOEIC organizer, but maybe TOEIC is useless compared with ACAM. What do you think?
Okay, thank you. Well, it is a tough question because I never took TOEIC test, so I didn't know the reality of TOEIC test. However, I feel like TOEIC is made for business English, and then ACAN is maybe ACAN's aim is to evaluate how much those those people know about English in general. So TOEIC is more focusing on business English, like specific terms or I don't know, but maybe specific or like professional things. So today, most companies use TOEIC as a criteria of judging people. But I understand your message. Like in Aiken, we have 2 tests, right? The later one we only evaluated by speaking skills. So I think today's TOEIC is chosen because it aims to evaluate business English. But in the future, I hope that Aiken can be one of the criteria to judge people. So this is my answer.
Okay, so great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the very last speaker is Ms. Honoka Iwasaki from Ayaotaku University. She will deliver her speech under the title of Why Do We Keep Romanticizing the Past? Why do we keep romanticizing the past? Ms. Iwasaki, please.
Thank you, the Master of Ceremony and honorable judges. Good afternoon, everyone. Have you ever felt that the past was better than the present? Remember a day in 2014 when we all had 3DS and gathered at a small park after school? I think you all miss it. Or some people romanticize their past crush who even hurt them and not listening to the advice of their friend right now beside them. But why do we remember those times as being so much better? Were they really? Or are we just seeing them through an emotional lens? This speech isn't just about an idea. It's about all of us. Each one of you here has a memory that you held on to, a moment you wish you could go back to. This is why this matters. Because memories shape how we see reality and how we decide to move forward. So today, I want to explore why we romanticize the past, how nostalgia can affect the way we see reality, and why it's important to stay grounded in the present. So first, I will talk about the psychological reasons behind nostalgia. So why do we feel nostalgic? Nostalgia is a psychological response that makes us feel comfortable, especially during stressful times. Studies have shown that people often turn to nostalgia when they feel uncertain about the future. This is why old culture becomes viral among young people. People our age often becomes afraid of the coming changes and worry about things that might never happen. Also, it's the rosy retrospection effect. We tend to remember the good parts of the past while forgetting the bad. Many people say life was better before social media, but forget how limited the communication was and how social media enabled us to express ourselves freely. And the role of personal experience. Nostalgia often depends on when you grew up. Boomers feel nostalgic for the 70s, millennials for the 90s, and Gen Z for the early 2000s. So there is no era where everyone feels nostalgic. Second, nostalgia can distort reality. People believe the good old days were perfect, ignoring past struggles like economic crisis, gender inequality, and lack of social progress. Actually, the use of nostalgia that most annoys me is how some people now romanticize the COVID-19 pandemic era. I've seen numerous videos that show empty streets or news of the daily number of infected people with emotional music playing in the background. But for us generations, that time wasn't nostalgic at all. It was deeply painful. Our school events were canceled, we couldn't chat during lunchtime, and we missed the precious part of our youth. What's more frustrating is that some adults who lived their youth freely without any lockdowns now seem to talk about us in a sentimental way. They pity us, yes, but sometimes it feels like they're consuming our loss, as if it is some kind of emotional story. So this way of nostalgia ignores what we actually went through and turns into something emotional, which hurts us unconsciously. On top of that, politicians use nostalgia to push their agendas. They invoke a romanticized past to make us believe that things were once better and that their leadership can bring them back. Like Donald Trump's Make America Great Again. The past wasn't always better. It was just different. So we need to question whether nostalgia is being used to manipulate us and focus on solving the present challenges and building a better future. And most importantly, it prevents us from appreciating the value of what is happening right now. Many of us are so busy looking back that we forget the present is also creating memories. What you are doing today, right now, sitting and listening to my speech, or for the speakers feeling relieved to finish your speech, might one day be the moments you miss. If we keep comparing everything to some idealized past, we will never feel satisfied. One way to step out from this trap is to find value in the present, intentionally. We can make imperfect, real experiences and feelings count. The key is to be fully present in them. Living in this moment also means accepting change. People get older, friends change, life goes on. That change, something that is often fearsome, stepping out of your comfort zone, is not a loss, but rather the experiences that makes you grow and part of becoming who we are. In the end, nostalgia isn't inherently bad. It reminds us of what we've loved, what we've lost, and what shaped us. But we must be careful not to let these glorified memories trap us in the version of the past that never truly existed. The present isn't perfect, and it will never be. But it's the only place where we can make changes, grow, and live fully. So let's not just look back. Let's look around. Because the best days aren't always behind us. They're still ahead of us, waiting for us to show up. The past may feel golden, but the present is where we create the future. Let's make it one worth remembering. Thank you.
We have a question and answer period. Mr. Kubota, please.
Okay, Homika-san, thank you very much. My first question, I just want you to just summarize once again, what you expect the audience to do and how you want to change the society.
So I want the audience to not to stop romanticizing the past. We should use the past as inspiration, but not get trapped in it, and focus on the present and live fully to create a better future. And second, for the society, I don't want them to use nostalgia to manipulate them politically or create and romanticize the past and forget about all the bad history that they had.
Okay, so maybe for individuals, maybe we have to, the old people need to be adjusted to what is happening right now. And as you know, there are many people are having difficulty adjusting them, right? Being adjusted. Okay, my next question. Well, looking back at myself, my romantic memory, I don't know, but my glorious memory, I would say, would be my university days in my doing this speech. And yeah, winning trophies. And this experience actually shaped who I am right now. Winning a prize, it gave me confidence about what I've been doing, my process, and of course my achievements, right? It made me confident. And now I'm already graduated, and even 10 years have passed, I'm still coming back to this this event, and I'm very honored. So, what should I do? How should I deal with my memories in regarding the speech activity?
Well, regarding the speech activities, I think remembering about the good sides of the speech, giving you a confidence or giving sort of a good memory of accomplishment is good. But at the same time, I think while you were doing the speech or while you were working with your members from the ESS, I think there were certain times that struggled or you were very stressed out. So we shouldn't forget about those memories. Don't forget about those memories because that is still part of yourself, not just the accomplishments or good sides of your experience.
Okay, yes, I had so many battles and conflicts between my club members. I do, yeah, I must not forget it. I understood. Maybe my last question. For example, today, the sixth speaker, Miko-san, talked about the trauma, right? It's not beautiful, it's not romantic, it's just totally the opposite, right? And bad memories, is likely to stick to your mind for a long time, right? So how should we deal with these kind of terrible memories or trauma? What kind of advice would you give to them?
Well, I wouldn't say they should face them directly because facing those memories might cause you to become negative. But you can't change the past that happened. So I think we should from my speech, I think that we should focus on the present because we can't change the past. But think about learn from the past and get lessons from the past to create a better future.
Okay, so time's come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now it's the judging time. Now all the participants have finished delivering their wonderful speeches. The judges will leave this hall to decide the winners. Please stand up and give them a warm round of applause. Please be seated. Now we will have another intermission. After the intermission, we'd like to begin the closing ceremony from 16:30. So please be seated by 16:25. Thank you. 日本語にて失礼いたします。これより休憩時間といたします。16時半から閉会式が始まりますので、5分前の16時25分までにご着席ください。ただいまスクリーンにて左から順にスピーカー様へのコメントとスピーチコレクションの QR コードを映しております。